through the lens of the movie's title, Call of Life, and thinking of this as Jung's own version of the call of life. We are losing species at somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000 times the normal rate of extinction in evolutionary time. What will the planet be like 50 years from now if 50% of all the Earth's plant and animal life is extinct? What will the practice of analytical psychology be like if that scenario unfolds? Call of Life makes the very interesting point that I mentioned at the beginning of this talk and would like to highlight again. As a species, we are not good at long-term thinking. This is simply a fact of the evolutionary development of our brain, its capacity to think in long-term time frames, long-range time frames. Maybe that's why we can hardly begin to think about what it means for the world if half of all the Earth's living species will have disappeared in the next 50 years. But it does make Jung's deathbed diagram seem plausible. Clearly, we're going to have to hurry up and make some evolutionary leaps at long-term thinking if we are going to be able to actually think about what this mass extinction means and how we are going to cope with it. Now, can I have the next slide, please? I'm going to go just in the opposite direction, which came to me in reading a Wall Street Journal article from late January of this year, which predicts the coming tech-led boom that will revolutionize life on the Earth. And it says, and it starts with a narrative in 1912, just a year before Jung's visions, but it goes in just the opposite direction. Listen to this. In January 1912, the United States emerged from a 2-year recession. 19 more followed, along with a century of phenomenal economic growth. Americans in real terms are 700% wealthier today. I don't know what real terms are, but we're 700% wealthier today. In hindsight, it seems obvious that emerging technologies around 1912, electrification, telephony, the dawn of the automobile age, the invention of stainless steel and the radio amplifier, would foster such growth. Yet even knowledgeable contemporary observers at that time failed to grasp their transformational power.
This is a picture, as it were, from above. First of all, geographically depicting the country which the painter is familiar with. And I'd like to draw your attention first to the fact that this is not a Eurocentric view. The painting itself is called Thinking About the Future, or Thinking About Young People. The future is seen from the point of view of an Indigenous Australian. It reflects exactly the same issues which are brought by Chief Plentycoo in Jonathan Lear's book, Radical Hope, which I draw to your attention, written by a psychoanalyst from Chicago, Radical Hope. I'll refer to this. Radical Hope, Ethics in the Face of Cultural Devastation. You'll see he is a sort of companion to Andrew Spencer Jabberjarry, the Warlpiri point of view. Now I'll go to the form of the painting for you. Groups of people are sitting gathered across the country in each tribal region. All are depicted as sitting, thinking, worrying about the same problem. And you'll see there the group, the horseshoe figures, sitting around a circle, represented rather like a target, which tends to represent a fire or a gathering place. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think, those smaller circles which represent people sitting and considering the same problem from their own points of view in their different tribal or cultural areas. Here's a painting by a friend and colleague of mine, Rod Moss. The painting appears in Place. It shows you an experience, let's say, of the Western doctor. There's Dr. Goldenberg, who is a remote area physician, Jewish man, beautiful man, but he's agreed to model Freud. and he's on the couch there, and you can see that that's Freud's consulting room transposed, Central Australia, and that the objects around are not Freud's objects from Egypt or wherever, but actual kind of local objects. And the analyst is a man called Patrick Hayes. Patrick Hayes agreed to model this too with Rod. He was delighted to be put in the place of the doctor rather than of the patient. And he's listening, as it were, to Freud's dream, and no doubt having a very interesting reconfiguration of how he will interpret what he hears. But this is a way of representing the reversals that are occurring. None of us can assume our assumed place. I love this painting, and most of the psychiatrists and the remote mental health team with whom I work have it as their screensaver currently.